Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. We are hopeful that you are watching this as a Patreon patron or as a YouTube subscriber or as a Twitch Prime subscriber who has managed to figure out how to link your Twitch Prime account through Amazon Prime account. The instructions to do that are in the show description below. We actually get paid, a couple of bucks a month if you manage to do that. So would you please check out the show description, figure out how to link those accounts. I cannot believe there's anybody watching this who is not an Amazon Prime member.
This episode of Pachter Factor is brought to you by DeShazer Ryan Realty. Right now, Doug DeShazer has beautiful lots available adjacent to Koocanusa Lake in northwest Montana. Pull up your RV and access the hookups, or build your own construction. Either way, you have access to world-class fishing, hunting, boating, swimming, biking, hiking, and the internet. No matter where you're looking to buy, make Doug DeShazer your real estate consultant at 406-291-1643. That's Doug DeShazer at 406-291-1643.
From SIFTD, from Cinetic, what are your thoughts on the Game Awards? Do you care about them at all? What do you think about the format and its contribution to the industry? Do you agree with the criticisms of this year's show? How would you make them better? Wow. All right. I think that it is important to have an award show. I think that on balance, Geoff does a phenomenal job. Certainly better than I could do. So, I think that people who sit back in their, comfy chairs and criticize have never actually tried to pull something like that off. It's really impressive that he actually gets this done. And the skill set to pull it off is not just the know-how on how to produce a broadcast, live special, because that alone, that's skills that 99.9% of the population don't have. You also have to have the relationships to get people who matter to show up. And by show up, I mean both on stage and in the audience. So I think that Keighley deserves massive props for pulling this off. It is each year shocking to me how good it is. Now, with that said, could it be better? Sure. I've probably been to 7 or 8 of them. I think this was the 10th. Geoff is generous enough to include me on the distribution every year, and I actually enjoy attending more because I like seeing the people, from the industry that I haven't seen for a while. What's wrong with the show? Geoff's business model is that he pays for the show by selling ad space, by selling game trailer sponsorship. And there's both the live trailers, the world debut trailer, and there's trailers during commercial breaks, which you've seen, that he gets paid for. It is expensive to rent out the Peacock Theater. It is expensive to have all that professional camera and sound equipment. It is expensive to have a full-fledged orchestra there. So I don't know what it costs him to put that show on, but it starts with an M. It's millions of dollars. It is not, 10 grand for a party. So he has to, generate revenue in order to make it work. And I think as the show grows in its reach and more people watch it, the pressure will be off Geoff to raise money from in Game Awards advertising, and I think he can focus more on longer speeches and which again I find them super endearing when people are giving I forgot the guy's name who was the best voice actor a year ago, but he had the 8-minute speech, and then this year he got up and made fun of himself, the guy who played Kratos in God of War, about how he's going to keep it to only 7.5 minutes. But that was endearing. And the year that Joseph Ferris won for best independent game or whatever, and he jumped on stage and said F the Oscars, that's really endearing. So I would love more of those moments. What do they do well? I think they showcase the industry, so that's really important. They bring in a great mix of big celebrities and big game developers. So you get Ed Boon on stage and Vince Zampella on stage, and that's pretty cool. And you get Walton Goggins, who really might be my favorite actor of all time, on stage. You get Matthew McConaughey on stage. But they're recognizable, pretty big big name actors on stage. And you get Kojima because Geoff is connected, and Kojima and him love each other, and that's awesome. You know, you get Jordan Peele, that's awesome. So just the very idea that a lot of the people in that room, you know, have never been in the room with all the rest of those big name people, that's fun. So I think Geoff does a phenomenal job. Now, what would I do better? Obviously, as economics permit him to, I would have fewer advertisements and more quality time spent on, you know, on the people that are in the show, that are on, you know, on stage. The second thing I think I would do, and I don't think he's going to ever do this, I would move the Game Awards later, you know, like January, so that all the most recent releases have an opportunity to be considered. Sure, they are considered, but, you know, there are a lot of games that come out in November and December, and they haven't yet gotten, you know, the same level of critical scrutiny and critical acclaim, you know, so like Call of Duty was a pretty bad version this year, you know, so it became a joke. But what if it had been, you know, the highest rated game of all time? What else? You know, I don't know. I actually like the People's Choice Award, the way he did that, because, again, you know, Baldur's Gate kind of won everything. Baldur's Gate is the highest rated game of all time. So, you know it's funny. I had breakfast the next day with John Vignacchi, who is a Nintendo employee and a Nintendo massive fanboy stan, and he was like, Tears of the Kingdom should have gotten Game of the Year. And I'm like, well, yeah, but, you know, Baldur's Gate got higher reviews by a point, you know, whatever. That's what makes the awards fun, that we actually can have, you know, difference of opinion. So I would do it a month later. I don't know if Geoff can pull that off, but I would do it a month later. I think it's a better window. I would reduce the number of commercials. I actually really like everything else about it. You know, the show nominally, you know, they have a pre-show at 4:30, and then it started at 5 on the West Coast. It was 3 hours. And it was pretty tight. I mean, I think it ended like 5 minutes late. So it was really well managed. You know, things that I like that you might, maybe you don't like the orchestra number. I thought it was great. You know, maybe you don't like the performance by, you know, the old gods of Asgard, whatever they're called, the something poets. I thought those guys were terrible, but a lot of people love them. But that's like personal music taste. You know, I would rather hear a hip-hop artist or something, which, by the way, he had Run the Jewels a few years ago. So, you know, it changes from year to year, and that makes it really fun. And to be honest with you, he had Grimes one year, which is great. He had Run the Jewels, which is great. And if he has Old Gods of Asgard, and I don't care for that, that's my business. You know, it's everybody's different. But I think the opportunity to showcase so many different talented people makes that award show special. And I guess my final comment, if you're ever able to cut out all the ads, you can spend more time with actual awards, because they gave a lot of awards where they would just list the 5 names and say, and the winner is Baldur's Gate. Now, maybe we don't need to see the Baldur's Gate guys come up 8 times, but there were a lot of games that won awards that the you know, principals that were winning the awards didn't get to go up and make a speech. And I love the speeches. I think that's great. So bottom line is, I think there's no chance I could do anything to make this better. Keighley does a masterful job. My big 2 suggestions are a month later and less, you know, fewer ads. And the fewer ads part is only when economics permit. All right, fellow babies, thank you so much for joining us on Pachter Factor. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, and happy holiday. I'm not going to make any massive political statements, but I do wish all of you peace, all of you, everyone, even the people who are unable to watch this. Peace is important, and just keep in mind that, you know, you can fix a lot of problems just by being charitable and loving people and hoping that they love you back. Have a great holiday, and I will see you next time.